Hi, my name is Denise, and I come from Brazil, and I will talk about unlikely collaborations. The SDG17 partnerships, how to partner with someone that you don't like, that you actually think it's your enemy when you're striving to change. So we start asking ourselves this question: who do you dialogue with? Who you don't dialogue with? If everyone talked to each other, what initiatives and solutions could emerge from such a dialogue? And I know this sounds very simple, but if we really think about how many people do we actually dialogue, people that we don't like, people that we think it's actually on the opposite side, people who we think are the enemies and are causing sorry, my English, that are actually making the world a place that we don't like. So we start to gathering a group of people, and we start to ask ourselves, what if we combine together society knowledge, the academia learnings, business planning and strategy, combined with government scope and breadth of action? We decided to create a dialogue platform, and we chose the theme of food and nutrition. And it was quite challenging to put in the same room Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Ambev, which is InBev. I think it's one of the biggest beverage company in the world. MST, which are the landless people in Brazil, people who don't have a place to live. We put together the municipality government, very rough activists that were on the ground. We also put together Monsanto, Greenpeace, the institutes that work in the forests of the Amazon. And so we're talking about very unlikely partnerships. And we end up with 62 differing players. And the challenge in the beginning was even to put everyone in the same room. Those kind of people don't walk in the same room. They don't sit together next to each other. So it's a very, very challenging context. And at the end, we went to a 9-month journey all together. And we didn't have to agree on anything besides acting together. So it was an alliance where people had to agree upon the same beliefs or same visions of the world. We could not do that with such a very unlikely partners. All we have to agree was we needed to change the food and the health status of Brazilian children. That was all the agreement that we had to have. And from that 9-month collaboration, we were able to announce stopping selling sugary drinks in schools in Brazil. That has become a pledge by the 3 biggest transnational food industry in Brazil. And now it's been articulated as a policy. And this, it was a 10-year policy that was dead in the Congress. And we were able, with the help of the industry, who were actually before accused to be the main lobbyists against the policy, and maybe it was true, but by creating a collaborative space with transparency, then it became quite clear where the obstacle was. And there was no room for people to get out of it. And we had to agree, and we have to pass this law. And now in Brazil, it's going to be effective next year. You cannot sell sugary drinks to schools in Brazil. And also, there is a very famous NGO, Alana. They were very helpful in the process as well. And they were the one who actually provoked that in the lab space. So and then they have been dealing with this issue for many, many years. So my point is, sometimes it's very hard to walk in a room with people that you don't like. So sometimes we have a very strong belief that people won't change. And maybe if we find enough transparency tools to bring everyone together, and if we are willing also to get out of our own beliefs and give a chance, then we are able maybe to change. And I'm saying this because I grew up in India, and for me it was impossible to walk in the room with Monsanto or Coca-Cola, because where I grew up, we were fighting along family family farmers. So it was impossible for me one day to be walking in the same room with these people and thinking that they could actually help us to pass this law, that they could understand that there was no time left for being the same and acting the same. And and it's not like we had to call for government pressure, and it was not that we have to call for very high-level people on the floor to make it happen. That is also very interesting. Just by acting, just by calling the strong activists of Brazil, we were able together to invite government and to invite the industry. So it was not that the industry invited us or the government invited us. It was we, a group of civil society, who came together very strong and decided that we were the ones who were going to make the call. And when we started only 2 years ago, everybody said that we were crazy, because they said that we didn't have enough power to bring those people into the room. And we did it just by reaching out and making our voice being heard. And just to finish, we decided to have a theme, which was food and nutrition. Because we wanted to make sure that we were able to act upon one theme and people could see the difference. So otherwise, if we only talk about partnership, then it becomes very hard to make it tangible, to see how unlikely partnership can really make a difference. So so the content that we are able to work all together became a movie, a documentary that you can actually see. It's being showed in the film festival here. And the content became a program for the schools in São Paulo. So we're talking about 2 million kids being impacted through this content. We also were able to bring, and it's going to start this year. This year, it's starting now, this partnership with the municipality of São Paulo. And we were able to reach to the biggest TV channel in Brazil, Globo, on a Sunday night, which still is the bigger TV show. We were able to be there in 4 Sundays, bringing all the content together. And we reached about 63 million people by putting this in the TV. And we were on the main newspapers and magazines around Brazil. The program, it's called Fonte da Juventude, which is Fountain of Youth. So with that, I will end. I think there's... And the question that we ask ourselves is, how can we get involved? How can we build together a new, oh my God, my English is, how can we build together a new trust field where we can try out to be different ourselves? Because if I didn't have the courage to leave my activist side, behind, I wouldn't have the courage to step in the room with Coca-Cola, with Monsanto, with InBev, with PepsiCo, and try to make a change alone. And that is without becoming friends. We don't need to become friends. We don't need to share the same values or share the same vision of the world. All we had to do, it was leave our anger outside the room and step in and believe that we could come together in an action point and change the system.